Welcome back to Joe Stunner Boxing. Ishmael Davis, having lost 3 on the bounce not so long ago, suddenly finds himself as the British and Commonwealth super-welterweight champion. This is a very good example of how, if you just treat defeats as learning experiences, if you don't lose your focus, keep your eyes on the prize, live the life, you can achieve a tremendous amount, because this was a very close win over Sam Gilley. Like I say, Davis had lost 3 in a row. He lost to Josh Kelly, majority decision. That was in 2024, not so long ago. I mean, it was September 2024. Then he lost to Serhij Boachuk over in Riyadh, got stopped in 6. And Carmen Aguiarco beat him a split decision over 12. So of the 3 defeats in a row, I mean, Boachuk's world class, so, and he hits like a truck. So, okay, you're a little bit out of your depth with that one. But that was sandwiched between 2 fights, very close fights. Majority decision to Kelly. I thought Kelly won that fight, but close. And then Aguiarco, good old tear up. And that was, would you believe, that was only September this year. So it's kind of unbelievable. This guy is like, have gloves will travel, Ishmael Davis. He comes back, and then 2 months later, he's the British and Commonwealth champ. I mean, you got to spare a few thoughts for Sam Gilley, who came in with an 18 wins, 9 KOs, 1 defeat on points. That was against previously undefeated Danny Ball back in 21, I think it was. He did have a strange sort of 8-round draw against a journeyman, which isn't a good look. I think he probably took him too lightly. Whereas before that, he was stopping Jack McGann, who I think had a 10-1 record coming in. He stopped him in 4 rounds. He was beating Lewis Green, unanimous decision. That was for the Commonwealth belt. And the Commonwealth belt, obviously on the line tonight, but the vacant British title was also on the line. So all the, two of the big belts, the ones that act as an excellent springboard to the EBU level, they were on the line, and it was a close, tough fight. I mean, I wouldn't have argued with a draw. I wouldn't have even argued if Gilley had got the fight by 1 or 2 points. Very much just one of those pendulum fights that swings one way, then swings the other. I thought Gilley started quicker. Carl Frampton made a point about Davis. He said that he can be frustrating early on because he fights in... he's a pressure fighter. He walks forward, cuts the ring off relatively well, but doesn't let his hands go enough. He lets his hands go in little spurts, and then he'll be too inactive, and as a result, he'll lose rounds. And that may have cost him against Josh Kelly and Aguiarco, but he has an incredible engine. He does those 12 rounds brilliantly. He did 12 against Troy Williamson, who's now the English super middleweight champ. That was in 2024, and he beat him on a unanimous decision. He's certainly not a one-punch KO artist, but the sheer, I suppose you'd say, the sheer attrition of his work, it can grind down fighters who are, not on it. He's only got 6 KOs in 15 wins with those 3 defeats, no draws. And against Sam Gilley, like I say, he started slowly, and Frampton, I thought, echoed the opinion that was sort of floating around my head, which was throw a few more punches, man. I know it's a 12-round fight, and you want to conserve some energy, but don't give too many early rounds away. Well, he started to come back into it around 5 or 6, and in fact, Gilley got a cut. I can't remember which round. It might have been the 6th. He got a cut, and I have to say, Gilley's body work early on, certainly in the first half of the fight, was really good. And it seemed to be really shaking Ishmael Davis in the early rounds, because he started early with the body work. I thought, that's good work. That is good work. And a very wise tactic, because Davis, renowned for being able to do the 12 well, Gilley, far less experienced in that area, not so many rounds under his belt. I mean, he did the 12 against Lewis Green. I think that's the only time he did a 12. He's done the 12. But, take some of the energy, take some of the fuel out of the tank of Davis early on. Davis, by the way, was switch hitting a lot. which mildly surprising because he's listed as being orthodox, but he was trying a little bit of southpaw stuff, and to me it wasn't really working. So he went back to the orthodox stance and started to, in the middle around 5, 6, 7, he started to get back into it, and he started to put the heat on Gilley. Now I think it was the 6th round. It was a very good round for Davis, and then you think that's only 50% of the fight over with. This is a test for Gilley, and even though middle rounds I thought Davis was beginning to look really good, fair play to Gilley. He hung tough. He was still firing punches back. All the rounds were competitive. There were only maybe 2 or 3 where you'd say fighter A or fighter B won that round. The others were 6 of one, half dozen of the other, maybe a little bit. Someone would win a round because they were a bit busier. Someone would win a round because of the weight of the punch. And there's no doubt that Gilley was having an effect on Davis, because Davis had a very bad welt, or mouse as they used to call him, under the eye, under one of his eyes, and it didn't come close to closing, but the corner had to keep an eye on it. And in the 11th round, when it looked as if the fight was kind of getting away from Gilley a little bit, he came back brilliantly. He had a fantastic round in the 11th and shook Davis a hell of a lot. There was, I think it might have been possibly a right hook over the side that caught Gilley, but he was also landing enormous uppercuts. Really, he liked the right uppercut, Gilley, and it was landing on Davis and having an effect. And the 11th round definitely belonged to Gilley, and you thought if Gilley wins this last round, he's got it, maybe a 115, 113, something like that. But he didn't. I thought Davis definitely edged it. And also there was a little bit of minor controversy at the end, because right at the end of the round, when Gilley was in the corner, Davis landed a right hand. Gilley threw his own punch and then fell over, and the referee called it a slip, water in the corner, which is a common thing, of course. But looking back at it, it could have been called a knockdown. It could have been. Now, it was a moot point somewhat, because, of course, Davis got the decision. 2 115, 113s and 1 115, 114. And this fight has got rematch written all over it. And I think Gilley deserves a rematch, definitely. But you've got to hand it to Davis. Davis's backstory is very interesting. Apparently, I think he was a father of twins when he was 14 or something. He ended up in the Nick. He ended up running with gangs and all that sort of bollocks. And he did go down the wrong path for a while. But now, suddenly, at the age of 30, he calls himself the Black Panther, and he fights like it too, stalking you all the time. But yeah, it's good. You can turn your life around with boxing. We know this, don't we? We know exactly that boxing does save lives, despite being an extremely dangerous sport and profession. But yeah, all credit to Ishmael Davis and to Sam Gilley. This was a good, solid fight, and rematch. Definitely. An entertaining fight, this one. Big up both fellas. Anyway, what did you think? Who did you think won? Why did you think they won? Leave your comments below. If you like the video, please hit the like button and also subscribe to the channel if you're new, and spread the word about Joe Stunner Boxing. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Plenty more to come later today or later tonight. I'll catch you then. Bye for now.